GregTech is a famous Minecraft mod about industry and chemistry. And just like in real life, chemical processes require multiple steps. GregTech is known for its chemical processing chains. They can either be very easy, or stupidly difficult. In this video, I will explore 5 of the hardest processing chains of GregTech. First of all, there's the ore processing system itself. In most Minecraft mods, you can mine copper ore, then use any equivalent of a pulverizer to get 2 copper dust, and then you can smelt it for 2 copper ingots, basically doubling your material. But GregTech's ore processing system is quite unusual. I don't even know how it fully works, and to explain all of it, I would need to make a video that is about 3.5 hours long, so let's not do that. In GregTech, if you get an ore, you first have to macerate it to get crushed ore, then you get dust, and then you smelt the ore to get the ingot. It looks like Gregorius has added one useless step here, but that's not what's happening. There is something called chemistry. You can purify the crushed ore in a variety of machines, and then do a variety of funny combinations with several machines to extract any rare elements you want. Later on in the game, you are going to get several million ores per second from funny mining machines. So you would want to automate this process. To automate something, you want the process to be very simple and streamlined, right? GregTech's full ore processing system is the complete opposite of that. The GregTech New Horizons wiki page about this is 3,500 words long, which translates to 35 minutes of video. There are so many edge cases that building a full automated ore processing setup requires the destruction of both your mind and the balls. Also, some ores might require special processing chains, like this one. Bastnasite is a mineral that is a source of rare earth metals. These are the elements that are in the second last row of the periodic table. These funny elements are quite useful. Neodymium, for example, is one of the strongest magnets known to physics, and obviously, Dream Master made that required to make, because masochism. Extracting all rare earth metals with maximum efficiency is a process that requires about 40 steps. This is quite ridiculous. Thankfully, this is only required in the mid to late game, so it will be about 700 hours of manual grinding before you get to see that. The platinum processing line is the series of machines that turn platinum metallic powder dust into the 6 platinum group metals which are critical to progressing after extreme voltage. This chain is so famous for being the great filter of GregTech. This is where boys become men. It is the hardest processing chain any aspiring Gregor has to go through, to access the late game. It has everything, multiple interconnected machines, processes that loop back into other different processes. Some of the processes even require full-on multiblocks, like the electric blast furnace. And while it may not be the hardest chain of them all, it is certainly one of the most memorable. The platinum line is so famous that there is an entire wiki page dedicated to it, and it places at number 3 spot on this list because it doesn't come too late in the game, so players are less experienced going into it. You have to get all 6 of the platinum group metals, so the platinum line is actually 6 different interconnected chains that you have to build at the same place at the same time, so it results in a lot of messy wiring in your factory. This kind of messy wiring is also called spaghetti wiring, because I invented it, and I live in Italy. A fun fact about this chain is that it requires an item called platinum group sludge or PGS, and a fluid called aqua resin. Now this is truly something special. Making circuit wafers in GregTech is usually not that complicated. You cook up some silicon, wait 10 minutes, get a silicon bowl and then cut it down to wafers. However, any aspiring supersymmetry player will be met by the glorious wrath of China as soon as they get past low voltage. Yes, you have to do this to get past medium voltage. In supersymmetry, to get even the simplest bool, you have to do this. First of all, there is something called doping, which doesn't mean doing drugs, but it means adding high purity elements to the silicon to make it do funny stuff. I don't know, I'm not an electronical engineer. Yes, I said high purity. In supersymmetry, there are both normal and high purity versions of each element, all 118 of them, Some of the high-purity chains are so hard that they will rank on the #1 spot on this list. But whatever, let's not get ahead of ourselves. After making the wafer, you have to etch a pattern on it. And how do you do that? By using polymethyl methacrylate, or Novolax photoresist. Any of these processes require at least 5 steps. And now you've got your wafer. You gotta turn it into a circuit. But let's not even think about that for now. To sum up, we've got 5 steps for the easiest high-purity elements, 5 steps for the photoresist, and at least 7 steps for processing the wafer itself. Add another 5 or 6 steps to make the circuit materials and the circuit itself, and that's nearly 30 steps, at medium voltage, right at the beginning of the game. Good luck. The name polytetrafluoroethylene makes every GregTech player cry, but supersymmetry players cry more. This funny plastic is required for making a few machines in high voltage. It's not something that has to be used a lot, like circuits, and the process for making it is extremely cancerous. It requires 23 steps. 15 of them are for making a precursor chemical and not the actual PTFE, and the process requires that you get 216,000 liters of ethylene before even starting. Gregicality was an add-on for GregTech Community Edition. I have also made a video on it back in October, so you can watch that if you want to know more about it. The supercausal mainframe is a computer that gets the answer before you ask a question, effectively performing time travel. This chain requires about 215 steps, but it's the final item of the game. This item has only been achieved a few times. Well, this is not a single chain, but it's more like a list of different processes. In supersymmetry, all 118 elements have both a normal and a high-purity version. There is also a high-efficiency version of the chemical process, so you can get more of each element. Also, each of them requires a different chain. That's 354 different processes, totaling more than 2,000 steps. Some of these chemical processes are interconnected between each other. You might need something from step 3 of lead to make step 15 of calcium and step 9 of scandium. Also, most of these require heavy multiblock machines, like the large arc furnace, which requires over 1,000 steel. Imagine building tens of those, and since you don't have applied energistics too, you have to build all machinery close to each other. This creates an incredible mess of pipes. This is why most people on the server quit after reaching medium or high voltage. The human brain cannot keep up with this much Greg, unless your IQ is above 144.